So I've got a computer set up here that I want to show you what different scenarios will create very different kind of EMF profiles, and will explain why in certain situations you can easily sit and work on a computer for a couple of you can just have a great time on it and do your work, or it is something that it feels very strenuous and you will be able to only be there for maybe 20 minutes or so and then already start to feel pressurized and nauseous. So I've got this laptop on loan to see if I can make it better for the person who uses it to be able to write. And I have made my own setup incredibly quiet on an EMF level. And now I can spend a couple of hours on this computer. So it's really nice. But if I would be working on this laptop, which I used to work on, has also been a part of how I became electromagnetically sensitized, how I became an EHS person or EMRS. And these MacBooks have a very high EMF radiation. The body itself is made out of metal, and I would touch it, and especially if it would be plugged in. At this moment it's not actually plugged in, but when it's plugged in it will create quite a high voltage that over a time you will experience as, well, very unpleasant. But I will show you with a couple of different meters what kind of different scenarios you can expect and why certain situations are better to work with than others. So this computer is now in a base state. It's operating on the battery. When we look and we see the mouse, it's about 3 volts, 3.2 volts per meter. And if I go in the low frequency stuff, you can, I'll just make the antenna shorter because you'll pick it up anyway. So the trackpad has a very distinctive pattern, and you can hear the processing of the motherboard up there. And there's something here in the screen. It's maybe the backlight. I don't think it's the camera, but you get a bit of an idea. So here it comes up to 120, and here about to 60 volts per meter. The readings of the EM3 and the eSmog are always very different. It's like they work on a completely different scale, yet they use the same unit, so I'm not quite sure what the issue is there. But I've learned to interpret and work with it. With the eSmog, it's really important that the sound signatures are quite distinct. So in this case, when I pick that up and I put the mesh over it, it will be very different. But I'll just quickly switch over to high frequency. And there's some distinctive patterning going on there too. Not so much up here. It's almost like the whole base does it. So if I close it up now with this stainless steel mesh and these magnets that I've made on the side, you still hear it a bit, but quite a bit fainter. And on the low frequency, it's almost gone. It's really green readings down here. There's some more electric fields coming through from the keyboard. And if I use the grounding wire here, it makes a difference in the sound pattern, but not so much in what the voltage it shows there. So I'm not quite sure why that is. But you can tell this is reasonably quiet, actually really very quiet, because if I'm now going to switch on the power, you'll be quite shocked about the difference. It's pretty intense, but so first of all, we've got an overshoot here on the dirty electricity meter. It's off the scale. I think that is 3000 millivolts at the peak. The voltage here is also overrun. So only when I get far enough from the computer does it come within a legible level. But as soon as I go close to the computer, it can't even register that. And the sound, well, that's... So I'll just take the power off here just for a moment. So now you see that the voltage per meter is that's all just coming from that power socket over there. So even if I just put it reasonably far away, most people are about that distance from sitting from that. Yeah, you get the idea. Now, what we can do first thing, if we ground it, it does make a huge difference here on this voltmeter. So you can see here it's at 40, and if I take it off, it goes up into over. So let's see if we can make it a little bit more. Ground it, unground it, ground it, unground it, ground it, unground it. And what's also interesting, if we use a static filter like this box here, this is about I think they're about 500 US dollars, about 800 New Zealand dollars. If we look here at the peak, which is at its maximum, if I plug it in, drops down. Now that's a much more realistic level. We would like it to be even lower. Apparently 50 millivolts is a good enough level. I don't like being around AC at all, because even though this is calm, we still have an incredibly strong electric field. So if I unplug this, it's maybe a bit better, but we're still close to the power cable, so I would like to get rid of that. But if you must have it plugged in like this, you might want to just have a grounding cable to the computer, not to yourself, because if you're grounding yourself, then all these electric fields actually jump onto you. So like this is a lot more doable at 44 volts per meter, but still, I wouldn't recommend that. I think the building biology would like to see it about at a max of 10 volts per meter. So this is quite extreme and far. This one is a little bit too high, but still better than if you don't have the static plugged in, then you just have a real bad day. It doesn't make a huge difference on the volts per meter, because these are high frequency transient harmonics, and these are electric fields that we're measuring in the lower frequencies. I'll soon be switching this off because it's already starting to feel quite unpleasant. But just imagine that this is where you're working at, and as soon as you touch it, and if I just open this up, and you're sitting on the computer, and you're typing, this is me touching the computer that is plugged in, and that's why it's making that noise. So all the time that you're touching the computer, you get this horrible shit. So you can imagine how bad it is. I'll just switch this off. Ugh. So this is already way better. So if you're going to work on your computer, do not have it connected to the AC. In fact, sit far away from the AC as you can. And if you've got this, you'll want to shield the trackpad. What I do is I work with a shield on my laptop and a separate keyboard that is shielded, same sort of material, but I don't have all that processing power below it because that is hard to shield still. But at least when you have that at a safe distance, this is about 50 centimeters, you already get way lower than what we were just seeing and experiencing before. And if I look, I put the meter in the same position, showing 0.3 instead of, what was it, 30, 40. So that would have been about 100 times more when it was plugged in, and still about 10 times more when that shielding is not on there. So there is a good reason to use shielding, or at least do not use AC power while working on a computer. I'm going to work more on the keyboard protection and the grounded mouse that is shielded, and we'll share that too, because I think those are the things that make it possible. Ugh, this is just horrible. I can't imagine how I managed to spend so many hours of my life in these kind of situations, with really close up to power blocks and lots of devices and Wacom tallers that put out huge electromagnetic fields. Yeah. Probably if I had been a bit more conscious about this stuff, or aware, or if it was better engineered, which is basically what it comes down to. So what I'm doing here with this shielding is just trying to find ways to fill in the gap of what the engineers have failed to do. The engineers made it safe for other electronic equipment not to be distorted by the EMI, by the electronic magnetic interference, but they haven't made it human safe. They haven't made it biologically safe. So we have to adapt to that reality and make these devices more safe for us, and at least use them in a way that we know that is a better way. But till then, till the engineers actually are instructed and learn about this kind of stuff, we will have to face the facts that there's a lot of electronic devices and appliances that are very unhealthy for the human body. And if somebody just says, "Oh, that's nonsense," it's totally fine and safe, fine, whatever, I don't care. It's like, if you don't register it, if you don't understand what's going on here, you just want to drink the Kool-Aid, and you're just as fine to drink up Roundup or keep on smoking or whatever, get plastics in your body. That's up to you. A lot of people are really quite ignorant with it, but when it comes to this, it's really something that you can avoid by being smart about it. So I'm just trying to help myself and people to make their situation a bit better. I love electronics. I love gadgets. I love these tools as a form of creative expression, of a way to communicate, of a way to explore and make a better world, but not at the cost of getting nauseated and sick and losing the brain faculties, because these electromagnetic fields, they interfere with our health and our optimal functioning. So I hope this gave you a bit of an idea of what's going on. I will try to get more condensed versions of this, where you get a more instructive way of improving these situations. These are just models that I'm working on too. This is in the end just a really nice and simple design that I've just made now, with a shielding material that allows for easy storage and works with magnets. It's all a little bit fiddly because it's like a prototype, but you know, overall it does show the principle and that it works well. You as it was for me. Ciao.